What if China makes first contact? I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower. Welcome to the Gospel Truth channel. And tonight, we're asking a question that is very sobering to those of us in the West. What if the communist nation of China, the atheistic nation of China, the enemy of all that is red blood, apple pie, baseball, Chevrolet, America, what if the Chinese communists are the first to make contact with alien species? What would happen then? What would happen if China made first contact? A very, very interesting thought, a very, very interesting subject, one that we don't really think about, one that we don't really contemplate, because we, as Americans, and even as people in the West, Brits, Australians, those of you in the UK, we tend to think of ourselves as on the cutting edge of all that is scientific, on the cutting edge of all that is on the cutting edge. But what if the Chinese are the first to make first contact with extraterrestrials? What would that mean? And what does the extraordinary scientific efforts by the Chinese aimed at contacting extraterrestrials mean for our world today? Interesting thoughts. If you're new to the program, I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. If you're a regular to the program, I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. If you'd like to support this work, if it helps you and you want to support, hit the chat button underneath, the super chat button. That's the $sign under where you put in your comments. Or you can go to my website, www.jeffreydaugherty.com, and contribute through the PayPal. And you don't even have to have a PayPal account to do so. And as I'm going to do as we get closer and closer to this, I just want to share with you, here's my website. And we have coming up on December the 10th in Clearwater, Florida, Christian whistleblower, yours truly, Heidi Vandenberg, Vedic life coach, What to Do When You're Dead seminar and gathering, December 10th, 11 a.m. You can RSVP here. Here's the address: luncheon, afternoon session, seminars, readings, 25 per person. It's too low, but we're going to stay with it. If you want to book your place, just click here. Takes you back to the donate button. Click on the donate button. Put in, once you make your $25 donation to come to the event, put in there seminar, as many of you that have booked today have. Thank you very much. It makes it much easier to keep track of. So that's the What to Do When You're Dead seminar in Clearwater, Florida on December the 10th. But what about this? What if the Chinese make first contact? As America has turned away from searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, China has built the world's largest radio dish for searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. Here's an artist rendering of it, very stylish. And look at this. What if the cube, the Borg, the New Jerusalem shows up in China first? What in the world would happen? How in the world would that go? Last January, the Chinese Academy of Sciences invited China's preeminent science fiction writer to visit the new state-of-the-art radio dish in the southwest of China. It's twice as wide as the dish at America's Arecibo Observatory in the Puerto Rican jungle. The new Chinese dish is the largest in the world, if not in the universe, which is, of course, rather speculative. It's sensitive enough to detect spy satellites, even when they're not broadcasting. Its main uses are scientific, including an unusual one. The dish is the Earth's first flagship observatory, custom built to listen for a message from an extraterrestrial intelligence. If such a sign comes down from the heavens in the next decade, China will probably hear it first. Now, we have to pick up on this one ominous little statement here, and ask who's making that decision that it's sensitive enough to detect spy satellites even when they're not broadcasting, but its main uses are scientific. So we do have to kind of couch this study and this discussion in these terms, because is China really building a huge satellite dish to search for ETs that just happens to be able to detect spy satellites, or have they built a huge dish that can detect satellites, spy satellites when they're not even broadcasting, and also, by the way, can connect or receive ET contact? And are they inviting their preeminent science fiction writer to the opening of the dish as a cover story to prevent and to preclude and to take people's eyes off the military aspects of the dish? No surprise that he was invited, says this writer. He has an outsized voice in cosmic affairs in China. Other Chinese writers give him the honorific Da, meaning big, to his surname. The Academy's engineers have updated him on the dish's construction as it's been going along with notes. And they say that he has also inspired them on how to build the dish. Now, he warned that the appearance of the other or extraterrestrials might result in human extinction. But here's this dish. Check that puppy out. China's new radio dish, custom built to listen for an extraterrestrial message or spy satellite. So, folks, I'm a little bit dubious that this thing is parked, or this thing is created just for extraterrestrials. But the science fiction writer said, perhaps in 10,000 years, the starry sky that humans gaze upon will remain empty. Or perhaps tomorrow we'll wake up and find an alien spaceship the size of the moon parked in orbit. And evidently this thing, bigger than mountains, would be able to pick up any extraterrestrial messages. Look how beautiful China is. What a gorgeous country. Very, very interesting stuff. He won the Hugo Award for science fiction, this fellow did. And it's just very interesting to me that even this dish does look like something out of science fiction. What happens? Let's just assume for a minute that the Chinese are trying to listen for extraterrestrials. And let's just assume for a moment that the Chinese are the first to make contact with extraterrestrials. Sebastian, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I salute you. And let's think about if the Chinese are the first to contact extraterrestrials. Now, if you're an extraterrestrial and the first people contact you, you're probably going to go talk to them first, aren't you? You'll probably talk to the first people that contact you. And if you go as an extraterrestrial and talk to the Chinese, whatever you think of Chinese communism, whatever you think of Chinese atheism, whatever you think of Chinese society, you're talking to a group that is atypical as far as representing what is, the majority of people that are on Earth. Communism has become a relic of history. The only communist states left in the world would be Cuba, North Korea, and China. So the vast majority of Earth is not communistic. The vast majority of Earthlings are not communistic. The vast majority of Earth people are not atheistic, as China is officially, but yet even within the nation of China, there's a tremendous explosion in religious thought. So, how interesting. Amanda B., nice to meet you. Nice to greet you. Thank you so much. What would it be like if the first ETs that come to Earth come to a communist China, a communist country, and they get exposed to communist thought and doctrine? Because think about it. If you're an alien and you come to Earth and you come to the people that contact you first, you automatically assume that they are the smartest people on earth because they contacted you and no one else did. And if you think that they're the smartest people on the planet, then you would think that their way of government would probably be the most rational and realistic. So you would think that China would probably be the if you're an extraterrestrial that comes here, I won't forget you, warrior princess, I salute you. You would think, wow, this must be the leading, most progressive, smartest group of people on this planet. And they have very little regard for their environment. They pollute it terribly. They have the largest, most powerful, most expansive military. Their leaders dress in military uniforms. They spend a huge amount of their money on military hardware. They have a bunker mentality. You would think if you go and look at China that Earthlings are a bunch of warmongers, and that's probably not far from the truth. But you would think that Earthlings don't believe in God. You would think that Earthlings like to live in a society where they're not free. You would think that Earthlings are all like Chinese, and that would be a very weird situation, and it would give extraterrestrials a completely unbalanced view of what's really going on planet Earth. Now, if China is the first one to make contact with extraterrestrials, we could assume that China would be the first one to make friends with extraterrestrials. And what if the extraterrestrials decided that they would help China enforce its way of life over the rest of the planet? Because obviously the Chinese must be the most advanced because they're the ones that reached them. Could you think of the implications of that? Wow. Maybe we all should learn to speak Mandarin while there's still time. You know, we always think that if the aliens come, they're going to come to Washington, D.C. or to London. But what if they don't? What if they go to Beijing? Because Beijing reached out to them first. Very, very interesting concept. Let's look and see what we've got going on in the chat room and see what everyone else thinks about this. Weigh in with your questions, weigh in with your comments. Maybe the aliens will tell China to stop poisoning Americans. Maybe. But Jeff, the earth is flat, right? No way is it used for ET communication. It's for spying on their people and us. That's a very distinct possibility, Christine Minerka. Beautiful country without good rule and control. Nope, it isn't. It was a joke. It would be bad since it's communism. Hang in there. China would be the worst country to represent mankind. Well, I think it'd probably be a little worse if they landed in little Kim's backyard. That would probably be bad. You would think aliens would study the entire planet before contacting anyone. Would they among wolves? If you're an alien species and you get contact from a particular nation and it's the only nation that's really looking for you, would you not be predisposed to go and talk to that nation? And would you not at least have a presupposition within your mind that they must be the smartest, sharpest, best? Like we always think, if a alien race reaches Earth, then they've got to be really smart. And if they're really smart, they're probably really benevolent. And they're probably really nice guys and gals, and they probably just want to help us. That's a very dangerous assumption. And I think it is interesting that Trump gets along with the Chinese leader. And I know this is gonna upset some of you, but if you'll remember those stupid chucklehead American basketball players that went over there and acted like stupid Americans and did shoplifting and got put in jail. They were going to be jailed for months, it looked like. And Donald Trump, the one that everyone likes to talk about how terrible he is and how stupid he is and how horrible he is, he talks to the Chinese leader and says, hey, and those kids are coming home today. I'm just saying. I got in touch with my spirit family with divining rods, and they confirmed there is a soul farm and that our planet is hell. Wow, that's interesting, Harry Pip. That's very interesting. So the reptilians, so-called, would be the perfect match for China. Laugh out loud. China owns most of the Gold Coast in Australia. Interesting, says Amanda, the Australian. Very interesting. But it would be accurate. We're a militaristic people on the whole. Yes, that's true. They've already been to D.C. I know there's people that believe that. I can see it perfectly. If aliens are evil, they would say this planet is perfect to be ruled over. People are already brainwashed. We don't have to do anything besides set up camp, says Sebastian. AJ says a scan of this planet will look at population density first and probably an emotional scan of the people. I guess it depends upon the civilization making contact. Interesting. Big Teddy Smooth says if it were spying on us or their own people, it wouldn't need to be so big or pointed out to space. Good point, Teddy Smooth. Good point. It is huge, and it is pointing out to space. Nathalie says that she believes first contact was made a long time ago. Rune Star Dragon says that they believe aliens are already contacted all of the major countries, Russia, US, China. I know a lot of people believe that. I'm not from Missouri, but I think I must be a spiritual Missourian because I'm a show me kind of guy. I don't think the corrupt governments will make contact with anything but demons, says Ariel Alto Wave. That's an interesting. Did we shut down our alien search program? We didn't shut down SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, but it's all but defunded. So it's a shell of its former self. China would be least likely because they aren't as easily deceived. That's interesting. If the aliens are so intelligent, they would study us before trying to take contact to us. But Rune Star Dragon, you assume that they give a damn. What if they just want to come here and take over? What if they just want to come here and eat? Maybe they like Chinese food. Finger looking good. That's from Constantine. The Nazis were the first to have contact. I know a lot of people believe that. We're always taught to keep your enemies close. Hooray for Trump. Chalk went up to him, that's for sure. Maybe that's why Trump's, what did Hawaiian girl Beth say? Maybe that's why Trump's granddaughter knows Mandarin. Also very intelligent. I like to hear a thank you, President Trump, from the kneeling NFL players. If they're playing the NFL on my front lawn these days, I won't even open the blinds. Shame on them. My dad always told me he believed this was the only hell he'd ever see. Interesting. I guess space does exist, says Yogic Vision. Well, the Chinese certainly believe it does. And that's an interesting point. The atheistic Chinese believe that space exists. The atheistic Chinese have spent billions of dollars to build a dish to listen to space. Do you think they might have determined that there wasn't a dome over the planet before they built it? Do you think they might have determined that there wasn't a flat plane before they built it? Do you think they might have determined that there really was space before they spent all that money on it? I'm just asking questions. You can make your own answers. AJ with an outside idea. Is the antenna simply to communicate with craft the Chinese government already has? It's a deep space radio telescope sending and receiving. A new conspiracy theory, the Chinese secret space program. You heard it here first on the Christian Whistleblower. Is the moon the light we see when we die? Interesting. I don't know a whole lot about SETI. What do you think the unaccounted trillions are being spent on? I don't know, Christine Minerka. They would land in China first to get a bite to eat. There are more people there. I presume they would take contact to the ones that fit their aliens' agenda. Yours autocorrect butchered that. Jeff, stop making sense. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Do we really want the Chinese making first contact? That's a sobering thought. Should we reinvest in SETI so that we make first contact? Wow. Very interesting thoughts. Very interesting speculations. Very interesting ways to look at things. I do remember the show V. I interviewed the star, the lady on that show on my old radio show. What is the point there among wolves? They're going to use Project Bluebeam to fool people. I think Project Bluebeam itself was meant to fool people. Interesting idea from Big Teddy Smooth that the Chinese secret space program is the secret space program. Where better to hide billions of dollars of equipment than in a country with media blackouts and extreme censorship? Big Teddy Smooth, stop making sense, brother. What if the Chinese, what if they're all in cahoots with each other? The US, Russia, China, what if all the elites are in cahoot with each other and they are masking everything, running the secret space program, the secret space program? I don't know why this camera does this. What if they're running the secret space program through China? Easiest place in the world to hide billions of dollars of equipment. A country with media blackouts, a country with extreme censorship. Maybe that's why we stop spending our own SETI money. We just give it over to the Chinese. Let them build the big dish in places that most people will never see unless we want them to see it. That's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting speculation on that, Teddy. Big Teddy Smooth, flowing with the big ideas. I like it. That would make sense why SETI was shut down. Big Teddy Smooth, making sense. But then again, as Among Wolves says, if the ETs go to China, maybe they'll start eating the Chinese first, and there's a lot more of them than there are of us. So hopefully they'll get their fill and maybe decide they don't like Chinese. They don't like human, period. Hawaii girl Beth says China had no one to run the telescope. I don't know if that's true or not. I'd like to see a source on that. Sounds a little bit questionable to me. Maybe they'll eat the monks, or they'll contact the monks in the Himalayas first. Maybe. And Bass Wilderness, exactly right. I'm liking Big Teddy Smooth's idea better and better. The ancient civilizations had contact. That's how the pyramids were built. And that's in this article, it talks about how China has always had, they probably have the oldest tradition of astrology and astronomy going. They've always been looking to the stars, so it's not atypical that they would look to the stars now. I think aliens consider humans hostile and self-destructive. That's interesting, Ariel. I'd like to know how you think that, how you know that. Contact has been made, but many people don't believe the contactees and experiences. Let that be a topic. And interview some very reputable people. I'm not really that big on the whole space thing to make sense with you. I'd rather have the Japanese do it. Their technology's better. It wasn't shut down. It was rebranded. Well, Okay. And I don't know why people want to type in all caps, but that's okay. Chinese takeout. The Pope is going to baptize them. Shut your mouth, Jeff. Everyone who eats Chinese likes it. Yeah. MUFON and Sweaty was infiltrated by Bigelow Aeronautics. He took all the, oh, they retracted that. Okay. They probably see us as children at best. How can we remove implants? I don't know what you mean. That's assuming we have them. Rainbow beef. Astral entities, not aliens visiting people. I tend to believe it. I tend to believe that. I tend to believe that MUFON is a shell of what it could have been. I believe MUFON's losing most of its credibility. MUFON refuses to look at UFOs and ETs within the Bible, and they're paying the price. They do need laborers. So it's interesting. What would happen if China makes first contact? In 1442, after the Ming Dynasty moved China's capital to Beijing, the emperor broke ground on a new observatory near the Forbidden City. More than 40 feet high, the elegant castle-like structure came to house China's most precious astronomical instruments. No civilization on Earth has a longer, continuous tradition of astronomy than China, whose earliest emperors drew their political legitimacy from the sky in the form of a mandate from heaven. More than 3,500 years ago, China's court astronomers pressed pictograms of cosmic events into tortoise shells and ox bones. One of these oracle bones bears the earliest known record of a solar eclipse. Amazing. China has centuries-old round red portals at the courtyard's edge, giant celestial globes supported by slithering bronze dragons, starry globes stolen in 1900. Troops from Germany and France flooded into the country. China has always looked to the stars. So does China know something that we don't? That's another possibility. Does China know where to look? And we don't know where to look? That's interesting. Last night's show was very deep, and you're going to have to watch that a few times. MUFON is a clearinghouse for real paranormal events. I think MUFON is a multi-level marketing scheme, but I'm a little bit upset with MUFON right now. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. China may be going back. China may be reaching out for what they've always known. China may be covering up military technology in ET outfits. Who knows? But however it turns out, the implications for the entire world are very, very interesting. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We put this information out so you can unindoctrinate yourself, so you can guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru. D. Gunyon, thank you very much. I will be back again tonight with more broadcast excellence for you. And until then, I encourage you to stay fearless, my friends. And I salute you that are here seeking after truth to unindoctrinate yourself.